It's recording already?
Racist and ignorant. I honestly, and so I feel like there's some people racist until they actually have experiences with people and understand their culture and things. That just fear of unknown is gonna stay.
Yeah.
And so, and so personally, like when I look at Trump, I look at him as just the ignorant. His dad may have been the KKK racist, whatever. I do think Trump is more of the ignorant.
See, for me, here's what I would when I'm the president. I always think he's not. I don't know if he's a racist as much as he just hates everybody.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes I just wonder that.
Right.
He just hates everybody who says anything negative about him.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe he is.
Maybe, right? Yeah. But I had that conversation. I was like, okay, cool. So here's an ally. You know what I mean? And then we went over to the sheriff's station to talk. The sheriff of Austell Police, and real cool dude, man, bright dude, had the thick mustache, kind of tall, little buff. He actually teaches kickboxing and stuff around, and he was telling me how before he came to the station, the station was actually part of the training was to profile certain license places, to know if they're coming from Texas, and they got drugs and stuff like that. But when he came in, they changed that training, and now they haven't had any type of issues like in the last 10 years as far as like unjust killings and stuff like that. And so came in and they changed the way the training was. And so and even in that gym I go to, there was a couple officers that had that, and they have a photo on the wall and everything. They used a shirtless photo with nunchucks around my neck. Look, shirtless like this. Really? And then the other half of the photo was like my hair slicked back, with a sweater on. So they showing like he's a savage and he's like a teacher or whatever. So like whatever, and and so it's very interesting seeing that. But that experience had just let me know. That okay, and so being in the gym, one of the officers did approach me. He was like, "Hey, and he's like my height, but I'm talking about like he'll throw all three of us across the room, power lifter." He's like, "Hey man, we got a problem," and I'm like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "Oh, and we started talking about the situation, and we had a conversation, and he let me know like, yeah, man, look. We good cops, we hate those too, you know what I'm saying? They make us look bad, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I just want to make sure that that we're good. I mean, we live together, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just a situation of like, after going to that, I just got a little bit more insight, you know what I mean? And not just to like, and I don't think even that's a situation where they're necessarily around bad cops at their station and they're silent about it. I think that their station is possibly clean as a whole. You know what I mean? But you do have other stations where they let folk, get away with stuff. And so, but yeah, man, it's a situation where we gotta have good sheriffs to come in and change the way these folk are trained. Like he said, they changed the way the officers were trained over the last 10 years. And so they've had, little to no incidents, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's a situation where, and unfortunately that conversation ended where, they recognize I'm with Cobb Mentoring Matters. I've mentored boys in these elementary schools, around the schools. I'm a children's book author. I write exercise book for kids. I've gotten to do these exercise books with kids all over the country, fortunately. And, they said, hey, look, we could possibly do like a mentorship program in the future. And this be a room where we're able to open up conversation with the community for folks to understand each other further.
Yeah.
Not as some like I'm some, mascot for the police Kanye type of situation. But really to just open up conversation so folk can understand each other in the community and the people that they're policing, so. But no, that's just kind of like piggybacking off of that. I think that's a good example of, of how stations should move, and change, so they don't have these incidents,
What do you think, Chris? Because I know you kind of you seem to be diving into this a little bit, like on your own.
What's the main question again?
Basically, about Or you would, I think you used to.
What do you think it needs? Because we have this situation. Like this is how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a situation in which there's a lot of racial unrest,
Mm-hmm.
things happening.
Yeah.
Some of which you may say justify, some is not, whatever. But there's something wrong when such a large amount of people feel that way. They're just not heard.
You know,
So what do you think needs to happen? I'm just curious what you think.
And I also think,
needs to happen.
and where I was saying like there needs to be conversation, I think it's just a point of situation where a lot of our community is tired of trying to have conversation too. You know what I'm saying? And so where I was fortunately able to have a conversation and us understand each other's side, and they did actually address, there is systematic racism, there is, certain things going on. And the mutual friend I had, he's a white guy himself, and so it's like there's so much tension now and emotions high. How do we woo-saw come back and try to really see who are the good folk, the good cops we can talk to weed out these other bad systems,
I feel like to fix all of this, I think we should just stay off of the phone.
Yeah, true.
And stay off the news, because if you can ask somebody who's protesting, okay, who are you protesting for? They're gonna tell you all the names that have ever been on TV, but they won't tell you no other name that hasn't been on TV. So that to me is telling me
we only know what's reported.
Exactly. So you're not really researching shit. You're just letting the news kind of tell you what to do. So I think if we all stayed off the phone, stop watching these documentaries about slavery and how we've been oppressed and abused and shit like that, if we can just understand it happened, recognize it happened, and just leave it in the past, understand that some people are rude, some people will love you. But I don't think just because somebody's rude or mistreats you, it's because you're black. And that's just me. You know what I mean? Because to me, maybe it's, of course I guess you see racism, but I've never really experienced no shit. You know what I'm saying? I've never been bullied or called out my name. The only time I've ever been given a ticket was from black cops. I got pulled over with weed from a white cop and he let me go. You know what I mean? So my whole perspective of cops being bad and white people hate you, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It might have been something back in the day, and it might be something that lingers within our parents and grandparents, but people our age and what's going on, I just think the media fuels a lot of this shit.
I think it does.
It throws gas on the flame. Yeah. But if we just stop doing the whole Black History Month, stop doing all of this shit, we would just. And Black History Month is cool, and I say that because they just start with slavery. You guys were slaves. This is what happened.
I do think it's important to never forget the past. I do think it's important to remember the past so things don't repeat.
But I think that's your parents' job. Let your parents talk to you about that shit. Let's keep it out of the school, keep it out of movies and stuff, but let your parents tell you what they want to tell you. You know what I mean? Don't let the school tell you, because the school's going to tell you what whoever's funding that school wants you to understand. So if your parents aren't teaching you shit at the crib, you can't be mad at the school system for teaching you what they want to teach you. Your parents should be smart enough to say, hey, of course there's different colored people out here, and of course somebody might not like you because of your color, your hair, your nose, but still don't go through life thinking that you are below everybody just because you're a certain color. And don't go through life like that. Yes, don't forget that we were slaves, but I
think we need to know history in totality, to be honest. I think the issue is that we don't know history in totality. And I think what's taught in a lot of schools leaves just a lot of holes in history as well. And so for me, again, it's a situation where I've literally rabbit holed almost everything I can think of. I rabbit holed my own faith. I rabbit holed everybody else's faiths and religions. I've rabbit holed how this government even was established. I rabbit holed how they even got over here. Who started each party?
Who funded?
Really look at who started the Republican and who started the Democratic Party. You'll be surprised, and confirm that across multiple credible resources. And even understanding the history of humanity, and so for me personally, instead of really seeing a storyline of racism, to be honest, I see a storyline of something that's happened all the way from, if you know anything about the Tower of Babel, you know what I'm saying, and or the divine council, and spiritual beings mating with humans. I think it's a situation of we have people of a superior bloodline who feel more superior than the rest of us, and they're spinning the narrative of racism to distract folk.
To split.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think what's going on is a little bit more about bloodlines. If you actually really look into, you know, our presidents and their relations and just a lot of stuff, it's really a situation of history just repeating itself, to be honest. And I think racism is a construct that has been created that started with the Catholic Church and the Council of Nicaea and all that stuff, and that's been carried over here into America to incite us and gets us to this point.
Yeah.
I see a way bigger narrative and a bigger agenda here that I personally don't want to go into detail on here because it's a lot, and you know, it's just one of those things where we'd have a way longer conversation than this to really get there.
I'm here till 8 o'clock. So you're more than welcome to talk for as long as you guys can stay.
Again, I think it's a situation where you got to look at history. You got to look at the history of humanity. If you believe in the Bible, you know, look at the first physical and spiritual rebellion, Adam and Eve, and then the Satan. Satan isn't even a name; it's the Satan. That Adam. If you know Hebrew, if you understand the translation errors from our Hebrew to English, there's so many translation errors, as well as purposeful taking out of certain books like the Apocrypha and things that actually show a lot of the broader story of humanity and perspectives. But you know, then I look at the Tower of Babel as a second, you know, the biggest rebellion of humans and spiritual rebellion as well, and that's where, you know, where multiple cultures have confirmed, and different religions have confirmed, this is where we got our first languages, our first 76 to 78 languages, and then humanity spread out from that point. And what came after that? You hear about, people don't know about the Nephilim giants, you know what I'm saying? Which those have been heavily edited out of our English versions, and there's just a way bigger, you know, story here. And so when I rabbit hole the belief systems of our people in power as well, I see these people emulating a lot of some things that have happened in history and things that have happened in biblical history that have actually been edited out of our English versions of the word. And so I feel like there's a way bigger story going on here. Y'all cover me, because this is some heavy stuff.
I feel like we are.
Yeah.
I feel like we are in some shit that nobody will ever figure out.
I'm not gonna flex. I feel like I don't know I claim to know everything, but I feel like I feel like I figured out enough. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Enough is, yeah, definitely. But I think it's like, I was telling somebody the other day, it's like the military usually has technology, 40 to 60 years before we have it. So it's like, damn, even if you do figure out or get close to figuring out what's going on, the military is still half a century ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, shit. If the American military. So if we as citizens all live in America, because to me America is a business.
Oh, of course.
To me America is a business, and if we're all living here, we are living inside of a business plan. We are living inside of a blueprint. We are living inside of an outline. We are living inside of an itinerary. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you don't run a business without having a plan. So
yeah.
if for you to tell me that, not you personally, but if for you to tell me that we are living in a country and there's no agenda, there's nothing going on,
mm-hmm.
that's like you running a business and you don't have no goals or no plans. Like, of course there has to be agendas, there has to be goals. So I say that to say is like, I feel like we are really inside of some type of system that we don't understand. And if it gets, and I don't like to say, I understand where you say it's more so about bloodlines than anything. And I don't think race is a problem. Because when you get to a certain amount of success and money, that race shit falls out the window. You know what I mean? I don't care what color you are. Like, if you're not coming with the check, the bag, the whatever, don't come. I don't care if whatever color, whatever. But yeah, I think it does get. I just think we're in some shit and we don't really fully understand.
Rabbit hole everything.
Yeah, and rabbit hole to understand that you might not touch the bottom. Like, rabbit hole is good, but I know a lot of people rabbit hole and they get stuck because they're thinking, I'm getting close. I'm close to the bottom, but it's like there is no bottom.
I think it's a situation if you understand the history and all history that has been reported. Again, as not understanding just American history, understanding Hindu history, understanding Native American history, understanding Buddhist history, understanding ancient African history, understanding everybody's history, because the thing is that there's commonalities in everybody's perspective of what history is. And so when you understand everybody's perspective of what history is, you get a much bigger picture of what is actually going on. And so for me personally, it's a situation of confirming across multiple credible resources of everybody's. When I look at religion or think about religion or religious texts, that's not my perspective that I'm studying religion. I understand I'm studying history, and just history from this perspective of a different culture. And then even when I read the Bible, I don't look at it as a religious text. I look at, I'm trying to understand the time of the writers, right? The time and their perspective. Here's a very good example, right? In the Christian church, we're taught to not look at astrology at all, right? That astrology is evil, it's divination, whatever. But why is that? Why have we been indoctrinated that way, right?
That's the truth.
Well, wait. And it is true. You are getting into divination and certain things, but when you actually look at certain books that have been edited out, like the Book of Enoch, right? And again, the Catholic Church does have a lot of this apocryphy is still in, but they're not in our English version over here in America. The Enoch actually confirms that astrology was a thing, that the human nature was created, was the God science or Yah's science of how he created human nature was heavily based off of the solar system. But because of divine rebels coming and teaching humans this information, that is information human beings were never supposed to know.
For sure. Because when you had the stars and planets, that was our entertainment.
Exactly.
That was our day-to-day
life. And so now my perspective is, okay, cool. It's not a situation where just astrology isn't real. It's really just information human beings were never supposed to know. But because you have divine beings, you have the Nephilim giants, who are the offspring of divine beings and humans having sex. From the Native Americans' perspective, they called them the sky people. From the Egyptians' perspective, they called them the ancient aliens that helped them build the pyramids. From the Hindus' perspective, they look at them as the Shiva and these giants. From the Buddhist perspective, they look at as all these giants, all these creatures in different beliefs and religions. They all have an origin. And where did they come from? They come from the Tower of Babel, the Satan, and if you look at history of the apocrypha that was come out, and these divine rebels having sex with women. This is why women are such the most coveted creatures on this planet. It starts with a spiritual rebellion, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is the same story that's told in all religions, but from different perspectives. It's just been heavily edited out of the Christian Bible, you know what I'm saying? And so for me, knowing the origin of your belief and my belief as well has personally given me a bigger perspective of, okay, I'm just seeing dots being connected here a little bit. And then, again, when I talk about bloodlines, it's just a situation of just look into the presence a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And them and you'll get a clearer picture of the history of humanity and the repeating of what's going on. Again, I'm not claiming to know all the answers, but it's a situation where I feel like I've rabbit-holed enough perspectives from different histories, incredible resources, enough to get a good gist of the full story of what's happening. And I feel like what we're seeing is the end game. We're seeing, Revelation being played out. We're seeing climate change, which is, that's a whole nother monster.